Chaos is anathema to harmony, and so we must fight it with every measure of our flesh and soul. You shall give your lives willingly if required, for the Dragon Emperor and Moon Empress must persevere and ensure that harmony is kept in balance.
Good evening, all. We've got a Cathay quote. I wonder why we might have had that. Gee whiz!
I'm so excited.
Who could say? Yeah. I'm hyped. I'm really hyped. There is a couple of videos where I talk about Cathay out on the channel already, but Lewis hasn't had chance since we last spoke. Lewis, we've had High Elves properly revealed. Cathay leaked, not leaked, spoiled or teased is the word I'm looking for. We've just seen that there's another WTC looking to put an event out, which is interesting because it's also going to be in a very similar sort of timescale to when the current WTC that's slammed their name on things and put things out there. So that's going to be interesting. We got a lot to cover, so we can have a bit of a
as well.
Oh god, yeah, the FAQ. I've forgotten about that already.
We've for a few weeks for the old world.
Yeah, it really has. We've got a lot to cover, and we'll get through. Obviously, you've heard my opinions on all of this stuff, but Lewis hasn't had a chance to talk about them. So I'm gonna set up loads of booby traps for Lewis to tell me what he thinks, and then be like, "You're wrong and stupid. Why are you here?" That's the only reason for this, of course. Anthony was here first 23 minutes ago. That is some commitment.
That is impressive.
Callum had time to make a cup of tea. That's fair. I finished mine off. Well, no, there's still a third of it left, but it's cold, so I drank it to my standards. I got this nice 30 mug when I turned 30 at my last workplace, and I used to sit and drink that at my desk. And one day, as I was sat drinking, someone goes, "How old are you?" And I said, "Oh, I'm 24." And they're like, "Oh, okay." Just fully believed me. She was one of the smartest people in the office as well, so I don't know how I got away with that, but sure.
Different kinds of intelligence in the world, Edward.
Yeah. Jack is well, no. It was just like a moment of. Usually, I made when I went to that office, I made a joke. Something I can't remember what it was. It was something to do with like French monarchy or something. And the manager said, "You're going to have to lower the level of jokes." Like, all right, fine. I was like, I'll adjust my humor. But she was the only other person that I could make vaguely intellectual jokes to. So we're not
interested in 18th century French history here, Ed.
I think it was like a joke about guillotines. It wasn't super highbrow, but it was just like, they were like, "What's a guillotine?" Sound all right. Yeah. So Jack is here. What will be in the battalion box, or what's the special unit for Wood Elves? That's an interesting point. So I've got some woods. Because I think I'm aiming to play some Wood Elves for the next couple of events I'll go to, and that's what tomorrow's morning stream will be. It'll be a hobby hangout instead of playing a game. See how that goes. But yeah, what do you reckon? What do you think Wood Elves will get in the battalion box as their special unit?
Do you think there could be units of trees? Do you think they're going to feature? Do we feel like one of the Arcane Journal sub-factions is going to be tree-based? Or are they going to stick with the elves, do you think?
So, I would be surprised if one of them is going to be tree-based. And that's not a nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Sometimes I know things and I'm like, "Oh, man, wouldn't it be weird if we saw this?" And sometimes it would just be really dumb if they don't have this. So...
Yeah, how's that tournament pack coming, Ed, that you hinted for end of last year?
I don't know what the fuck I'm playing at, honestly. I mean, we'll see when it comes out. Yeah, I don't know. Also, where's no, I can't say that. So on the old world, so if we're looking at what we got in the other ones, it's usually bricks of infantry, right?
Yeah.
I'm just pulling up some battalions. So if we look at
what Wood Elf bricks do you tend to get?
Well, I wouldn't be surprised.
Skirmishes, didn't they?
I'm hoping that what you get is some Glade Guard, the ones with bows, and some Glade Riders, and that would be a very solid core to build your army around.
Yeah.
But then there's normally like chariots or something special, and I'm really struggling to wrap my head around what you could maybe go for, because they don't have chariots, they don't have war machines,
no.
They don't have Pegasus Knights,
eagly bits, flying stuff. Would they go down?
I think the Eagle kit is metal or resin, like if I remember correctly.
It's definitely not going to be a plastic box, unless they make a new one.
Yeah, Tree Man. There isn't a plastic tree man for the old world, I don't think. And that's like maybe it could be a tree man actually, given the Empire of Man battalion have a steam tank.
Yeah.
Eagles are metal. Yeah. Yeah, it's a Rhine hunting party. That'd be cool, but they haven't been putting characters in them. I really don't know, honestly. The other answer is obviously the Dual Sisters of the Thorn / Wild Riders kit.
Yeah, I mean they could just bulk it out with more cavalry, couldn't they? And
yeah, they could do.
Chariot,
especially if one of them's like a wild hunt style. But yeah, I'm not sure. I am not sure.
Just above Jacka's comment you just commented on there in the chat, Michael asks, wondering what you think of the risk of starting a legacy faction from scratch, such as Dark Elves. Is it more likely they get cut completely or included completely?
That's perfect timing, because that's exactly where I was going. We're obviously on the same wavelength. So for me, now we're a year in, I'd be less likely to start a legacy army if you haven't got one. But in terms of all of the legacy armies coming back, Dark Elves is the one that I can see being the most likely. So yeah, I don't know. I probably wouldn't do any of the other ones, but Dark Elves I could see a justification for. Also, the models are super cheap. Like I got my Games Workshop army Dark Elves. It's all legit plastics, very, very cheap. All you have to do is, get some dragons, and I converted mine from the Stormcast dragons, which was like 60, 70 quid for 2 dragons, which by Games Workshop standards is they're basically paying me to take them, which is pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, all the legacy factions are a pretty integral part of the lore, aren't they? I don't know that you could imagine an old world that doesn't have Skaven in it, doesn't have vampires in it, doesn't have lizard men in it. So I'm not sure I see a world where they disappear completely.
Yeah.
I see a world where it continues that they don't get any official support from Games Workshop.
Yeah.
So I guess, Michael, from your perspective, you have to make a decision. Is the PDF rule set enough of an interest for you to take that faction and be happy that that's all you're going to get? And I think for some factions, that's an easier win than others. When you look at the vampires, there's 5 different ways you can play vampires easily through there and be perfectly competitive. But potentially when you look at maybe the lizards, although they just won an event last weekend, that they might be slightly more railroaded down one particular way of playing. So I guess you just need to review the army that takes your fancy and decide whether there's enough variety in that PDF that it could run with it. And from my perspective as an event organizer, I think whilst they've got those PDF rules, they're going to be legal at my events. So, and I haven't yet seen an event organizer that hasn't done that, other than Games Workshop themselves, obviously.
There was one here in the UK which I won't name, and they started off with not allowing legacy factions, and then they had no one buy tickets, and they had to change to legacy factions. And then they sold out and had a good event. So I'm just going to put that out there. And I the reason I'm not naming them is there's no shade. Like, I don't really have an issue with people wanting to play the game in a certain way. The game is more balanced around the core factions, but I just think it's, in my opinion, wrong to not have them. And in the current game, I wouldn't be supporting an event that doesn't allow them. In a year's time, if balance goes out the window for legacy factions, maybe we have to reconsider. But, that's a conversation for later on. I mean, I'm just going to quickly shoot through because we've got plenty of the usual faces. Good to see you. Krieghammer, Entropy, Winslow, Matthew's here as well. Who else we got? Existence, great to have you. Perfidy as well. It is all popping off. Elsie says Dark Elves don't really fit with the new Cities of Sigmar lore / aesthetic. I agree. Obviously, there's the sort of like Witch Elves army, which rumor has it is getting a refresh. So maybe that's going to be the point where Dark Elves come back in. That'd be good. Glad I found work as a dragon foster parent. Excellent stuff. Yeah. Ogres were a late addition, but they live by Cathay. Yeah, the problem is I don't see Ogres getting a full refresh anytime soon, even though it is old. They really need doing. 2005, I think they came out, so yeah. Played the Frog entry theme. Pip's here as well. Good to have you, Pip. Games Workshop need their arms twisted. Yeah, absolutely. Vote with your wallet. That's the way to go, isn't it?
I mean, it will not have gone unnoticed in the halls of Games Workshop at Warhammer World that all the events are running legacy factions, and even with Games Workshop's best efforts to tell everybody not to buy Age of Sigmar models, people have turned up with those legacy factions,
I mean,
and they are always a decent percentage at events, aren't they?
they basically told people not to buy the old world in the first messaging, so they've done very poorly. Despite their best efforts, it's going well for us over here in the old world, so big fan of that. Since it's 2 to 4 armies per year, why not bring back a legacy and introduce new armies? Yeah, that'd be cool. It just depends how much commitment they can get. I think there's actually like a fair amount of commitment in terms of design studio.
Yeah.
There's just a long lead-in time for writing rules and especially sculpting stuff. Sometimes there's like multiple years ahead. You can speed it up, but if you don't have that sort of commitment ahead of time, it's difficult to get things going. Good luck playing Night Goblins without Age of Sigmar models. Hey, there's Night Goblin models, right? Is there not for Orcs and Goblins? I thought they brought them back because they brought back the 5th edition ones, I think. Oh,
fair enough. I mean, it's the sort of thing, I guess, as I say, that lead time. Even if Games Workshop decided in August, after 9 months of seeing how successful it was, that they were going to bring back the legacy factions, even if that decision has been made in August, we aren't going to find out about it for another 18 months. So, or at least we might get teased in a few months' time or a year's time or whatever. But the time it takes them to design a book, write it, sort all the models out, it's gonna take them 18 months, 2 years to put that together anyway, isn't it? Because you've got to think they've already got a schedule in place of all of their upcoming releases. Clearly, some new stuff being teased that we haven't yet seen, and so there's clearly a long-term plan here. And to have a massive change to add in 5 or 6 factions that they just hadn't considered up until this point, there's a big switch in what they're doing, and by the sounds of it, they're not a huge team, so to completely refresh that is tricky. But I mean, I would err on the side of they're going to be included rather than they're going to be deleted from the world.
Yeah, I'd assume so. I'm feeling very positive about it. I think basically what we're getting is the first wave is all of the armies come back in plastic as much as possible, and then you've got your additional models. And then you get 1 or 2 new models per army alongside the Arcane Journal, so you get more rules. And then, the next wave, I think that's when we'll start to see potentially new models, new units added, more stuff from the End Times potentially brought back. Not necessarily because it's End Times, but those sort of end of fantasy, beginning of AOS models. Maybe those start getting more rules. I've got some very cool Wrathmongers, I think they're called, on my desk that I'm building at the moment for Steve, and they're going to be Forsaken, which I'm looking at them and going, if I want Forsaken, Khorne Forsaken, I think I have to do this. These models are awesome. Yeah. Huge fan of that.
Pip in the chat has offered to write the Lizardmen book, which I think that would, from a game balance perspective, that would concern me, Pip, given you were able to take the existing Lizardmen book and win an event with it. So I'd be concerned about you writing that book as to how overpowered that would be.
No. Pip has a very accurate grasp on how good and what parts of Lizardmen are good. He did say that skinks in a chat that we have. He said that skinks are OP and they're just held down by everything else. So I believe that if he did write a book, it would be more reasonably balanced across the board. There'd be some middling ground. I just want to highlight this from Winslow. I didn't say that. I did not say that. I think Dark Elves will come back. I think they might come back in the next 3 years. That's the sort of timescale that I have for assuming Dark Elves come back, which would be cool. But
the same for the General's Handbook, some point in the next 3 years, or can we expect it sooner than that?
You need to shut your mouth. So, what I would assume is that the General's Handbook and the FAQ would be coming within this, a month or 2 of each other. Honestly, the FAQ came faster than I was expecting. I saw that and I was like, I don't know why I'm surprised by this, because they said they were going to do it every other, Arcane Journal release and Empire is released. I guess I forgot that it was the Empire release because we kind of had it a month and a half ahead of time, which was like, yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, really, that can't be it, surely. That can't be all they're going to release in terms of updates to the game. It didn't feel... I mean, obviously, there's questions in there that they've answered, which are sensible questions and sensible clarifications, but there's a lot of stuff that felt slightly rushed in there. And I wonder, because they never released it with any kind of fanfare either, so is there a chance it just got accidentally uploaded, or...?
So I was really annoyed at that, actually. it feels, and this is not I'm assuming this is not the fault of the Old World team at all. This is the fault of Warhammer Community, in that it was announced on Warhammer Community about 3 days later in the LVO model release as a footnote down at the bottom. That's not okay. Like, other games get a full, like, here's the changes, here's some highlights.
Yeah.
Come on, like, you
Which, I
can
mean, you got to
manage to
think
do
the Old
that.
World team probably write that. All the community have to do is just post it, surely.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, the impression I get is that there are warring factions within Games Workshop. So, like, what are you
Which
going
of
to
those factions is playing the vampire counts, do you think?
do? Age of Sigmar. Definitely. They just got new models.
They're just going around screaming. Is that the plan? They're just indifferent. They just go into the specialist design studio and just do a wailing dirge.
I don't know if they have those in Age of Sigmar. I don't know what the Age of Sigmar rules look like for vampire counts. Oh, sorry, Soul Blight, I should say. In fact, I don't. That's the thing, isn't it? Because Death split into multiple different factions. Yes. I don't think there's even screams as such within Soul Blight. I think all of that stuff is towards the Nighthaunt.
I would have thought, yeah, it's in the kind of floaty undead, isn't it? So
Banshee style, yeah. All right, cool. Well, we're gonna chat about all the things that happened since you were last on, which was not that long ago, but it feels like a long time ago, especially because it was pre-recorded because Christmas. So,
of course, well, bloody hell, that was the last one we were on. Excellent. Yes, it does feel like the whole world has exploded since then. So, yes, we have some catching up to
do. Although I'm looking at the date, it's the 21st, so I don't know why that was the last one.
I don't think it was. I feel like we've done something since then. We talked about the Saffron Fantasy Slam event pack. Tickets are available.
We did.
Tickets are still available.
All we did was talk about the future there. So we're going to talk about all of the things that happened. And, you know, the fact that you were on since doesn't actually matter. So let me start you off with hobby. Have you done much hobby? I know you got loads of Black Knights. How many Black Knights did you get?
I got 20 Black Knights.
Hell yeah.
Which is great because obviously, like 2 days ago, they just announced that a whole new Black Knight kit is being released. So I've done a good job of clearing out GW stock for Black Knights. Although I was slightly concerned looking at the new ones; they are a bit bigger. I don't want them to be bigger than the Blood Knights, and it was tricky to tell from the photos what the size comparison is and how much bigger they were going to be, and if they were a lot bigger, whether they'd even kind of rank up properly. But
yeah, they didn't look very fantasy to me. They looked nice, but they didn't look fantasy.
Yeah, I've actually the other day I just placed an order for the last White King on Skeletal Steed before the new one comes out, because I think I actually prefer. I think the aesthetic of the old one.
Yeah, I
better
actually don't love the new one. That also looks too designed for a round base.
Yes,
which is
it's on a big tactical rock as well, isn't it? So
I'm glad that we haven't got that really creeping into Old World. That is good.
Yeah, but it's just one of those things. If it looks I think it looks really cool, but it's just too big. And if you stick it in a unit, it's going to look weird because you're going to have a lance of, and spoiler, I'm using these as Bretonnians, so you can have a lance of knights with one guy just stood on a rock somewhere in that lance, which is going to look a bit weird, I think. So I managed to pick up the last one on Amazon. The last, I wouldn't normally buy stuff on Amazon, but it was there, and I got a voucher from work, so I got it for free, effectively. So
yeah, I wouldn't normally buy stuff from Amazon, apart from it's convenient.
Yes,
it's unfortunate, but you know, that's the reality.
No, I do. If I don't have vouchers, I don't like spending my own money.
Good for you.
But work tend to do Amazon vouchers as a thing that they do for people that
those are good vouchers. To be fair, we used to get loads of different vouchers, like Love to Shop. I'd be like, oh, I've got like 3 £10 Love to Shop vouchers, and then just never use them because they weren't particularly useful for me. But I'm going to use this as a natural pause in the video and say to you, all 46 of you, if you haven't liked the video, I'd appreciate if you did. Helps this get seen by more people. YouTube recommends based on the whole algorithm of whether you're enjoying it, and you don't have to enjoy it. You just have to click the like button and hang around. Enjoying it is optional. I'd prefer if you did. And also huge thanks, especially to the Grail Knight tier supporters. If you want to become a supporter of the channel, you can do down below. There is a button that says join this channel, various tiers, and a special thanks to all of the Grail Knight tier supporters: Mecha Knight, Krieghammer, Ginger Steve, Cameron's Battle Reports, Beowulf Miniatures, G Wilder, More Robot Wars Content, Chris Mollison, Orkboy Phil, and Ian Payton. Thank you very much. So, you want to talk about your Bretonnians.
Yes.
And they're not just any Bretonnians. There's some special Bretonnians. They are I hope not. You've only just got them out of the box.
Not real world dust, Ed. Fantasy world dust, obviously.
I see. I understand. So, do you want to just go straight into? Let's have a look at some pictures of what you've been working on.
It's a picture of my Black Knights coming up. Yes, so these are the ones I asked for Christmas. I'm very excited that I don't enjoy, I just spite watch.
Yeah, there is a core that hangs out in the VIP section on Discord who I think like me, but I can't tell from the way they talk to me. But this is a small enough channel that I know the people who I interact. Well, you know, in an online sense, know the people I interact with enough that I feel like they've earned the amount of sass that they give to me, and they understand the line. You know, we have playful banter.
Yeah, to those people on Discord, I feel you. I haven't decided if I like Ed yet either. So
that's fair. That's fair. Have I
your
ever told you that one of my friends still isn't sure about you? I'm not going to say who it is, but they went to one of your events and they're like, "Is he a dickhead? I can't tell." Which I was like, "No, he's really lovely. Why did you say that?" And oh fuck, I've just said that like on live. I can't believe I've given you a compliment in front of all these people, in front of all my mates.
You fool.
But yeah, no, he was just. I think he was undecided, and I don't know why, but I think that's very fun. I think it's because you're a southerner.
Yes, I think sometimes Essex can be a bit abrasive with the overuse of the word mate. I remember getting into a massive argument at work some point. I was talking to, I think it was like a structural engineer or something I was doing a project for.
Yeah.
And if anyone that's not from Essex or
a structural engineer.
Well, the term mate is used basically, you're either horrible or really lovely. And it's just used generally. And I used the word mate in this conversation, and he had like 5-minute rant at me about how it's unacceptable to refer to someone as mate who you were working with in a work context. I was like, I apologise, mate.
I'm terribly sorry, buddy boy.
Sorry, bud.
Yeah, I've been using bud a lot. I enjoy the Welsh accent. I'm a very little bit Welsh, not enough that I'd ever claim to be Welsh, but I like the "you're right, but." So that's definitely crept into my common vernacular.
Bro is definitely worse.
So
Nisgard, 100%. We're not American.
Yeah, Niz, where are you based? Nis is also one of the regular commenters. Yeah, are you? I don't feel like you're American. I don't know why. You know, you get a vibe from how someone types. I feel like Nis is somewhere sort of Europe. Denmark. There we go. Hey.
Somewhere Europe.
Yeah.
You gave yourself some leeway there, Ed.
Well, so I was going to say Eastern Europe, but I didn't mean like Slavic. I just meant this side of, so, you know, like Germany or France or something like that. But and then the angry Scots weighing in.
I was going to say, I'm not entirely sure that's English, is it, Ed?
No, it's Scots. So I got to say, Callum, you've been replaced as my number one Scotsman. I mean, it wasn't difficult, but I have been talking to Hash recently, so you got to buck your ideas up. Perfect. All right. Let's have a look at some of your models. Let's have a look at what you've been doing. So this is looks like a couple of lances.
Indeed. So basically, I like the lance formation for cavalry, but you can't use it in vampire counts because for whatever reason, despite the fact they've been around for 1,000 years, they appear to have forgotten the ability to organise their knights in terms of lances, and you have to put them in silly straight lines. And I thought the only way I can rectify that is either make it so that all of my events are allowed to use lance formation if you're any kind of cavalry, but I thought that might be a bit self-absorbed if I did that. So I'm going for Undead Bretonnians instead. I'm going to run the Black Knights as the Knights of the Realm, so just your core kind of access to knights in the Bretonnian Journal. And yeah, they're coming on really well. I haven't put any paint on them yet, but I'm getting them built. I think I'm now at just shy of 15 of them built. This was a photo taken a few days ago, so
very nice.
Built up. I'm probably going to be running them in units of 6, looking at the Knights of the Realm and the way the lance formation works. Any more than that, I think maybe 8 you could make work.
Yeah,
going another one wider, but they very much struggle from the fact that if they charge and then don't kill the thing that they charge, they're just useless.
Yeah. Have you noticed that their weapon skill bad, strength bad, single attack?
Yes.
You're going to find that you don't kill the thing that you charge quite frequently. I think. That's going to be a problem for you.
I feel like it's going to be a problem, but it's going to look cool, and that's the most
It is going
important
to be,
thing.
yeah, it does.
So obviously the Knights of the Realm, that fulfills most of your core requirement for the Bretonnians, but some of the best Bretonnian units are some of those characters that sit on those royal Pegasuses and fly around.
It's definitely not Pegasus's. I think it's
Pegasi.
Pegasi. Yeah.
This mystical creature that doesn't exist has a plural term, and it's not Pegasuses. Is like sheep are not sheeps.
No, they're
I'd
sheepsies.
like them to be sheepsies.
Yeah.
And cowsies and pigsies.
Oh no. I don't know what cows are. Coos.
A murder of cows.
Look at the coos.
But yes, so it won't go. Yes, here we are. I've purchased one of the Vengorian lords from Age of Sigmar range. Now, whatever we criticize Age of Sigmar for, you cannot criticize from the models not being awesome, because they are. And I looked at a bit of the lore behind these Vengorian lords, and apparently they were once just normal vampires that spent a little bit too much time next to pretty raw death magic in one of the realms in Age of Sigmar, and it effectively turns the bottom half of the vampire into the monsters that they truly are. So they're vampire on top, monster on bottom. Matthew Sinclair, that model is horrific. It really is, but it actually fits quite nicely on a 50 by 50 mil base. So,
do you want to have this moment to publicly say I told you so?
Yes, go for it. I told you so.
Yeah. I just said there's no way that's going to fit on a Pegasus Knight base, and here we are.
It does take a little bit of trimming, so you can see that it's not on a tactical rock; it's on a tactical chapel, I think.
Yeah.
And the tactical chapel is slightly too wide, so I have to trim one side of it. But luckily, you end up trimming the side that's then covered by the tail and the wing. So you can't really see. I'm hoping by the time it's painted, you won't necessarily see that I've had to trim the tactical chapel ever so slightly. So I think it's going to be it's because it's on the tactical chapel. It's much bigger. It looks taller than the knights around it. Ed doesn't know what cows are, so I think it will really stand out as a real centerpiece character for my what's the Baron or the Duke, whichever one's higher, the Duke or the Baron. So it should be really cool.
Baron, I think.
The Baron.
I always get it wrong. It feels, whichever one it is, it feels like it should be the other one.
Yes. And Edward, what is the AOS going on in this live stream? I know I'm just making vampire counts work as Bretonnians, so I can get two models for the price of one. I'm just getting savaged for this unit now.
You might want to move on quickly, yeah.
But the funny story about this one is that this was purchased by my dearest mother-in-law, or soon-to-be mother-in-law after May, who would basically asked me at Christmas, what do you want for Christmas? And I sent her a list of models, and this is the one that she chose. Unfortunately, the female version of this, which is what I've done here, the one with the sword in the right hand, the other one's on the left hand, is actually called the Mother of Nightmares. So I had to do some apologising when the model turned up at mother-in-law's house, and it has Mother of Nightmares written on it, and it was definitely not directed at her. She bears no resemblance. For the record, she bears no resemblance to this half vampire.
The fact that she flies and sucks blood is completely unrelated to this model.
Yeah, the fact that she has a tail.
Well, yes, no, perfect.
So yes, I'm very excited. It's going to look really cool. And I did one other silly thing as well. Well, not silly thing. I'm going to use my existing Blood Knight units as Grail Knights. So I put them on the Lance base just to see what they look like. Cool.
I really like that.
Yeah. Yes. So just to test it worked, obviously, and it works. Works really, really well. Ginger Steve is correct. Mother-in-law's wings are much smaller than the Mother of Nightmares ones. So.
Winslow says it's comforting to know the English has as much difficulty differentiating aristocracy as Americans. No. That is the thing that we're very good at. Obviously, there is still racism over here. I don't mean to minimize that. But the way that you have racism, we have classism. Like, that's the sort of one-to-one comparison. Never. No, I was going to make a joke about the upper classes, and I was like, that's just unnecessary. But yeah, Yeah, that's where we're at. Lovely models.
Yeah.
I really like Blood Knights because I'm also toying with the idea of doing this. I was like, oh, Grail Knights, Blood Knights, it works perfectly, and I was like, oh, but I don't want to use Blood Knights, so that kind of takes some of the wind out of my sails.
You don't want to use Grail Knights, or you don't want to use the Blood Knight models.
I don't want to use Grail Knights at all.
Right. Okay. Yeah. They don't. So I played a game this week against Bretonnians with my infantry vampire list, and the Grail Knights, they just die too easily. They're the same as the Blood Knights. They die too easily for what they cost. But with the Grail Knights, obviously you've got no option to bring them back, which is what redeems the Blood Knights slightly. In that, okay, they are cost 50 points each and only have one wound, and they just die immediately to anything that's flaming.
But they also have a 2-up save, which is huge.
Yes. And I guess the Grail Knights do have the ward save, which the Blood Knights don't have. But it's the thing, once you roll a couple of bad saves, and that's it for that cavalry unit.
Yeah.
Whereas with the Blood Knights, at least if you've got a big enough unit, and I'm transitioning to a unit of 8 Blood Knights now, that allows you to lose a few. You're not going to get one shot, meaning you'll always have a chance to bring them back. And in theory, with the level 4 caster, you just bring back 4 back and get 200 points of your army back, really. So.
How many points are Grail Knights? Are they like 38? Is that right?
Off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you, but yeah, they're
I feel like they're lower on the cost of the heavy cavalry because they don't have that 2-up armor save. But I could be talking out my backside. I'm just going to check that. But yeah, no, it's super cool. I've been thinking about doing the same. And I'm thinking if I do, because obviously I want to take Pegasus Knights because they're very good. And I was looking at the Mortis engine. So you get 3 horse riders basically attached to the front of the Mortis engine, and then so I'd be basically buying a £45 kit to make 3 Pegasus Knights, which honestly is like Games Workshop
to be fair.
retail standard, but it does
like that.
Yeah, I still don't love it, so I'm gonna think about it. I'm also planning on playing Wood Elves for the foreseeable, but I am going to the Throne of Skulls, not the Throne of Skulls, the Warhammer World Grand Tournament for Old World in April. I've got a ticket for that, so that's going to be awesome. I need to take an actual non-legacy Games Workshop plastic army, and I do have one of those. I've got Orcs and Goblins, and I've got a lot of Warriors of Chaos as well, but I might take High Elves. I might take Undead Bretonnians. I don't know. That's one that I'd like to try and win, I think, is the goal for that tournament. Whereas I've got a couple of tournaments coming up where I just want to sort of mess around with what else. So I'm less bothered about sort of placing really well with those, but I think the Warhammer World one would be a good one to try and smash.
Definitely, 100%. And I'm kind of hoping as well doing these models like this, they're all going to be Games Workshop plastics, so they should allow me to enter the Games Workshop events, even though I'm using Vampire Count models.
Well, that did cross my mind as well. I was like, God, are they going to allow conversions? Is that? But yeah, I had a similar sort of thought process to you. I just want to point out, Grail Knights are 38 points.
38 is spot on. Is that with upgrades or without upgrades?
They don't get upgrades.
They're not. I don't think they have a chance for barding or anything like that.
They have barding, but they just don't have full plate. No Bretonnians have blood full plate. They're just like they're good. They're a T4. Sorry, a T3 model. Is it T3? I feel like it's T3. Yeah, T4 model, 1 wound with a 3-up save, which is just unacceptable to me. Can't be.
For 38 points, for sure. Yeah. But they'll look cool before they die, so that's the most important thing.
Yeah. This is the thing that everyone says to me, and this is in no way a slight against you, Callum, because this is a really good suggestion, but I don't like the ghouls. I don't like the Flesh Eater Court models. I want to go skeletons and ethereal for my Bretonnians, because this is a fantastic suggestion and it would make loads of sense, but I just don't want to do it. So
Raffers has a good comment in the chat. In the appendix of the 6th edition Vampire Counts book, they had unofficial bloodlines, which you could pick different bloodlines for your vampires. And one of them would have been the Vengorian equivalent that made them into monsters and things like that. So what I'm actually doing is looking really far into the future. When they bring Vampire Counts back, I'm going to be able to play different bloodlines from models I already have. So it's actually really good planning from me.
And that feels like an Arcane Journal sort of jobby, where it's like the Empire Knightly Orders. You can take an entire house of Blood Dragons, or you can take one unit and one character of Blood Dragons, or something like that. That'd be cool. I'd like to see. We are just kind of rambling today. Honestly, we're just vibing. We have a lot to talk about, but we're kind of just vibing. I'd love to see a foot vampire unit. I don't know how they do it, but sort of like heavy infantry, which are vampires.
Yes, to
That would be
take the Blood
cool.
Knights off their horses.
Yeah.
That'd be-
I
Well, I
guess
don't know if you get that many vampires to work together. Famously arrogant, unfortunately, Ed.
unlike Blood Knights, who are happy to work together because there's
But
a
the Blood
horse on them.
Knights are stuck in that blood keep thing, aren't they? So they have to
Yeah.
ride together, die together. Bad boys for life.
Bad boys, bad boys. What you gonna do? What you gonna do when they suck your blood? Who can?
You got to learn the words.
Yeah. Absolutely. Lots of suggestions to use the actual Pegasus. Yeah, I was thinking about Pegasus as well. But then it gets expensive because you've got to put 2 kits together. And money is something that I am not in an abundance of because I'm currently looking for a job. But
yeah, I mean, you could use the actual Pegasus Knights and just paint the skin on the Pegasi.
black.
Yeah, like an undeady sort of color. Because if
Yeah.
you look at the Blood Knights in this photo, there's the horses and they're nightmares. They're not skeletal steeds. They're still kind of horses. They've still got skin and stuff.
Yeah. Some of them have exposed bone, but it varies
in areas, but it's normally like around the faces and stuff like that. They have some more bone structure, but the rest is, you wouldn't tell it wasn't a horse.
Yeah.
So I think there's any reason why you couldn't paint them up like that, and as they say, stick a skeleton on the back instead of the Bretonnian, and you're in for a good shout there.
Yeah. So, do you want to wildly speculate about Cathay? You were very excited about talking about
Oh my god! So if anyone that's been listening to the last 2 episodes will know that once I've finished these Undead Bretonnians, so I've got my kind of 2-for-1 army. I wanted to spend a lot of time then focusing on Empire and make state troops great again was going to be my my focus.
It's less funny now he's in power.
Yes, it's all got a bit real, isn't it, Ed?
Yeah.
So that was going to be the plan. And then we see a random image on the kind of roadmap that Games Workshop put together, where suddenly it looks like one of my favourite Total War Warhammer factions is coming into the miniature form in the form of Cathay. The picture is very obvious.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming that was deliberate. I'm going to assume that's deliberate.
What I love is how many people have been talking to me like, they're definitely not bringing it back. They're just baiting it. All right.
I mean, that would be pretty, like, it's not April Fool's or anything like that. It'd be pretty hard. And then we saw Games Workshop there, one of their Facebook accounts or whatever, commenting on a post from like 18 months ago where someone had commented on like one of the original posts about bringing the old world back.
Yeah.
They'd commented, "Oh, you're going to bring Cathay back? Oh, you're going to make Cathay happen because it's in Total War." And they literally just left a comment like a few days ago on an 18-month-old post with just like the cheeky like winky smile, which I think. If you didn't believe it from the photo, I think they'd be really pulling our legs if they're going to start commenting on old Cathay posts with like wry smiles.
Yeah.
And then obviously that's then added to with the update to the Old World map.
Yeah.
Where previous little sea monster images are being replaced by ships, junks with Cathay symbols on them. So we've got 3 pieces of evidence there that we can pull together. I guess none of that is officially confirmed until it comes out of their mouths, which might mean we could be waiting like over a year for this, or we'll see.
Yeah, I think we'll be waiting about a year. Yeah, that's about right. So, I mean, I said the opposite of this earlier, where I was talking about reading between the lines. Man, I'd be really surprised if they didn't bring Cathay back. So, what are you most excited to see?
So I think one of the things that I really enjoy in playing them in Total War is once you get into the battles themselves, they have this. I mean, if the Cathay infantry are trash entropy, I can just change making state troops great again to making Cathay infantry great again.
By the time Cathay comes out, I bloody hope they've sorted infantry. They've got a whole year to do it, so I'm expecting to see infantry be a little bit better than they were.
But yeah, so what I'm really looking forward to, if they can make it work, is, as you say, when you go into the battles in Total War, you have like this yin and yang harmony sort of stuff that goes on. So like the ranged infantry and ranged units are yin, and then all the melee units are yang. And that when you have those two types of units close together, they buff each other. So you're kind of encouraged to have a balanced army to start with, so you mix of range and melee troops, and you're actually supposed to keep them in relatively close formation with each other, because they get buffs, so that the infantry unit they become more accurate and they hit harder and they hit faster, and the melee and the range troops like shoot faster and become higher missile strength, things like that, because they are close to each other.
Sure.
So that's quite a cool mechanic, because it's not characters buffing the units, it's other units buffing each other and in combination with each other. So it doesn't work if you just have ranged units, or it doesn't work if you just have melee units. It doesn't work if you keep them too far apart. So it pushes you into a kind of like quite this. It's dynamic, but because it forces you to have a variety of units, which I think is really cool. I'd be interested to see how they can kind of deploy that thing. And it is kind of, there's not huge amounts of lore about Cathay out there, but it's their kind of harmony thing. That kind of focus is just a really integral part to the lore that they do have. So I think they could really do that well, hopefully, and have some really cool mechanics around that.
Sure. So how do you think I would feel about that mechanic? Do you think I would be in favor of that sort of mechanic or not in favor? What do you reckon? Me as a person.
I think you'd find it quite restrictive in some ways.
Damn right.
I don't think it matches. You've got quite an expansive play style, and I've got quite a focused play style, I think. So I think you'd potentially struggle with keeping the combinations together, because it just wouldn't match what you'd like to do.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't favor skirmish heavy armies, for example. It doesn't favor armies where certain units can go out and do their own thing. They have to work together. And actually, if you're doing that with ranged units and melee units, the ranged units can't get into a fight in the same way. So you need to protect your ranged units to allow your melee units to get better, assuming this is the mechanic that they go down. So, and obviously also the other cool thing that they could potentially do is have a character turn into a dragon halfway through the game. So,
I'm out to lunch on that one. Anyone who's watched the speculation video, I don't think they'll go that way, just because it feels like a super clunky mechanic.
Really hard to pull off.
If you've got a 60 mil by 100 mil base and you've got to turn into a 25 by 25 because they're humans, where does it go? That just doesn't feel like
exactly
good rules writing. Maybe I'm wrong. Max thought that maybe they'd do it as some sort of like in your movement phase you can transform and you end up, somewhere within range. Which I guess
that would be really cool. Yeah.
Perfidy says I just panic bought 10 Black Knights. Should I panic buy 10 more? Do you need 10 more? Because if you need 10 more, get 10 more. But if you don't. This is the kind of financial advice you can come to us for.
Yeah, it depends if you like the current ones or you prefer the new ones. If you prefer the new ones, you don't buy any now. But if you like the current ones, get them quick, because they're going to go, I should imagine.
I need to refresh my memory on them, because I do like the new ones, actually. But
it's a bit bigger. I said it's a bit bigger.
I think I really like the new Graveguard models or whatever they call them.
I really like the new Graveguard. Yeah. I've already painted 25 of the bloody things, so I'm not buying any more. But
you could theoretically buy more. Use those ones as normal skeletons.
Yeah.
Use these ones as Graveguard with great weapons, because you
should
get
have 60 normal skeletons. I don't need any more.
And use those as unit fillers. Yeah.
I wonder if the new Graveguard look really cool, but I wonder if they're going to suffer from the same issue that the current AOS Death Rattle skeletons have, in that ranking them up is an absolute bastard. I break on. So I played a game, which we'll go through later. I played a game last week, and every single game I play with those skeletons, I break at least 3 of them. And it winds me up every single time. They're so flimsy. They just stood like with their arms out. They're doing starfishing the whole time with their spears sticking in random directions. And the Graveguard have got similarly expansive poses. So yeah.
But they don't have spindly spears, though, do they? They've got
they've got great weapons and swords. So
fairly hefty great weapons. So
it's actually the issue really is that it might be quite a weird one, but for the skeletons, the issue sometimes is the cloaks. Because the cloaks are like solid plastic, you can't change how they're kind of like flowing out behind the model. and you end up with two cloaks clashing into each other or a shield clashing into a cloak. So the spears aren't really a problem because you can
Yeah.
pose the arms. The
Yeah.
spears are a problem that you just snap them, but they don't get in each other's way in the way that the cloaks and the shields do. So
Sounds like you need to number your bases. That's
yes.
that's what I'm hearing here, which is great for an army that brings back models from the dead. That's
That's always the problem, man. When you have to take
admin.
the champion out first because he's always the one in the challenge and put him back, and it's just it's a
That's a
nightmare.
good point. Good point. It's a very good point. You got me there. Yeah. So I think you should number them, but write it on the back lip of the base, the one that's facing towards you. That's probably like genuinely a good idea. And then what you do is you write one that's like whichever one goes in the back right also fits in the position that the champion can go, and then you can just mess around.
That sounds like far too much work.
yes, it really does, doesn't it? But yeah. So any other thoughts on Cathay that you really want to?
Right, so I would.
Me too.
I've probably got another month or two of putting these Undead Bretonnians together, which will keep me busy for a little while. So I would love. I mean, this is wishful thinking. I'd love to have an idea from Games Workshop when to expect them, because if it's going to be 2 years, then I'll crack on with the Empire and we'll get stuck in. If it's going to be 6 months, then I might just buy some more Vampire models and get on with those and just make the army a bit bigger and not bother starting anything new in anticipation of them coming out. But
what if it was 1 year?
Timeline, I think, is probably for the birds. So, yeah.
What if it was 1 year?
1 year, so that would give me basically 10 months. But in that 10 months, I am getting married. I've got the honeymoon.
It's true.
Running 10 events. So I've got enough to be getting on with. So I wouldn't be desperately upset. And I could probably, as I say, I'd like to get some ghoul models into the Vampire Counts list because they're quite cool. So there's enough Vampire units I could tide over, even if it's just for a few months to just.
I reckon you buy some more vampires, mate.
Yeah.
That's my vote on that matter.
We shall see.
Callum says, do you think Age of Sigmar's models have actually moved closer to the design of Warhammer Fantasy Battle over the last few years? They've veered off for a bit there with some stuff. Yeah, I think so, actually. Like, Lizardmen look pretty good in sort of like closer to just sort of modernized versions of. Yeah. Obviously, stuff like Lumineth Realm Lords and whatever the shark riding ones are don't really look.
Idoneth Deep King,
yeah, they don't really look very similar. But a lot of the other stuff, like the Gloom Spite, I think they're called, the Night Goblins.
Yeah,
they look. You can just 1-to-1 use those for fantasy. They fit very well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's a good point. Actually, we're kind of meeting in the middle a little bit. It'll be interesting to see what more and more new models for Old World as they sculpt more stuff will look like. So yeah, looking.
The AOS stuff it's a lot more dynamic as well, isn't it? It's a lot, and they're able to do that because they haven't got to rank stuff up. So even the ones that look more Warhammer Fantasy Battle are still hugely more dynamic models. They look a lot more in motion and stuff like that, which actually creates really cool models.
Yeah,
but can make a bit of a nightmare ranking things up and getting them to go close together. So I wonder if there's a world where it all joins and merges, that you've got to adjust base sizes in Warhammer Fantasy to adjust it to make it fit a bit better again.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. Nis has used the modern Chaos models for his Warriors of Chaos army.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they translate super well 1-to-1. I've actually got a really nice warrior on my desk here somewhere. I don't need to pull it out. But just when they were doing the free models, and I got it so I could, bring it in side by side with the rest of my stuff, and it looks good. If I wanted to do them from fresh, I'd be tempted to just pick them up. Apart from the price, because you're buying 10 for the box cost of like almost the cost of 32 regular ones. And because I've been playing for long enough, I have nostalgia for the old models. So while I might not like them more, I like them as much. So it's, when it comes down to cost, I'm like, well, I'd just go for the ones that make sense for me, which is not paying an arm and a leg for them. Yeah. That is the big problem with Age of Sigmar. The pricing structure is absolutely wild. It's nuts.
Yeah, I mean, do you need as many models in an Age of Sigmar, say a 2,000 point game for Age of Sigmar?
I think so.
Need hundreds of models, or do you need hundreds of models?
So you don't necessarily need loads of infantry, but like you might need, you might run a list where you've got 3 or 4 bloodthirsters or something like that, right? And they're at 110 pounds each or something like that. So like that's not your full army, and you're already down 300-400 quid. And then if you go outside of the UK, where everything is just more expensive Warhammer wise, great. It's just it's a ramping cost. Whereas you can buy an old world army very easily in comparison to Old World and stuff. Age of Sigmar or 40k, because 40k is getting there. The new resin models for Old World are insanely expensive. Yeah. The returning plastics are really good. A lot of the characters, the metal characters especially, really good. And then there's the stuff that's weirdly priced is the resin usually.
Yeah, because even Forge World resin, aren't they? So they kind of just got that Forge World markup that means even though the quality's lower, everything is ridiculously expensive.
I think Forge World resin is pretty good. It's just usually bent. That's the problem.
Building any of the Titans or the big stuff. For my 40k stuff, it's just like putting the Tyranid Bio-Titan together was an absolute nightmare. Putting the Falchion Super Heavy Tank Destroyer thing together is just like you're paying so much money for these kits and they can't even fit together properly. And the other pet peeve I have with those big kits is that they don't have instructions. It's literally the Falchion kit it starts with a list of all the components and step 1, build Falchion, which is just not helpful to anybody. But I haven't attempted any of the new Old World resin characters, so I don't know how good they are.
No, I haven't. I should do one to test. But something I should say is I forgot to put it in the chat earlier, but if you are one of the Longbeard or above members and you do have any podcast questions, feel free to whack them in Discord down below in the Close Order podcast section. We'll get to those towards the end of the stream. There are a couple in there, but if you've got any other burning questions, feel free to whack them in there.
And do remember, if you're a member as well, you do get your Saffron Fantasy Slam tickets 22nd, 23rd of February at 10% off. So don't just go on BCP and buy them. If you are a member and you want to come in February, you'd be more than welcome. We're going to have a great weekend. And if you do, you will be at 10% off if you're one of our members. And Ed will obviously verify that you are a member. And then you get a nice cheeky discount link.
Perfect.
So you're welcome.
Nice and easy to do. Matthew says all the Old World resin he's built has been lovely. So
excellent.
There we go.
I'm glad to hear it.
That's good stuff. Perfect. Well, shall we talk about High Elves? Do you want to talk about High Elves?
Yeah, I must admit I haven't paid huge amounts of attention, but yeah, I can see.
Oh, well, we can do that then, because let me just transition here, and for fuck's sake, this is why I'm moving away from Evemux, because it's a buggy piece of shit, and now I can't even click anything. So let me see if I can unfix it. There we go. Perfect. So first thoughts. Oh,
we're starting soon, apparently.
Mate, I've had enough of this. There we go. Apologies. Technical difficulties. This thing's, like I say, I was complaining. Evemux, piece of shit. Don't buy it. So, first things first. This is the starter box. And I am underwhelmed. The chariots are cool. Yeah. And then there's a lot of ham-fisted infantry. I don't think I'd be starting here if I wanted to buy High Elves. How about yourself?
I mean, I do like the High Elf infantry. They're probably my favourite models, other than the really cool dragon, where it's on the big tactical rock.
I love that.
Yeah. I do like the infantry. I think it is cool. And I mean, it feels like you get decent amount in the box.
The quantity's fine. It's basically the same as every other box, which is 2 boxes of infantry, 2 chariots.
Yeah,
and that's fine. For the price they're charging, that's a decent saving. But the problem is, those infantry are not things that you're necessarily wanting in large quantities, and also they are the oldest sculpts that we've got. For High Elves, they are for High Elves.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So let me just jump ahead, because they're bringing back loads of the Island of Blood plastics. Which is incredible, because they are real tasty.
Big hands.
Look at this. Look at these. These are the Lothan Seaguard. Just way nicer. Like, this is, when I look at these, I go, these are really nice infantry. Because they're the Island of Blood ones from 7th edition starter box.
Yeah.
They are push fit. So you don't have much variation to them, which is fine, because you've got, just really nice looking models.
Yeah, you don't necessarily need it when you've got ranked up infantry, do you? You don't want too much variation, because you end up looking like my stupid skeletons.
To look through as well, in terms of scooping ahead as well. So we've got these are coming back, both sets of ham-fisted infantry. Look at how big those hands are. If you go here,
it's like you can see them.
I know, yeah. We've got the Sisters of Avalon coming back, which are lovely models. Really like those. Dual kit with the Shadow Warriors. I had someone, I can't remember if it was a YouTube comment or one of my friends, just be like, "Oh, cool, they're bringing Shadow Warriors back." I was like, "No, but Shadow Warriors exist. Their rules are just not worth taking, which I thought was very
They
funny.
do have normal size hands though, so
They do. And then also the Island of Blood Sword Masters, which are very tasty. I'm a huge fan of these models. Nothing too complicated for high elf players.
Nothing too complicated.
That's going to be me. I'm going to be dribbling out of both sides of my mouth, and I'm looking forward to it.
Me and my big hands.
I won't be getting any of those. Yeah, I haven't really worked out what I want to play. But
if your hands were that big, I wonder you'd struggle to just like open packets of crisps and stuff, wouldn't you? If that would be it. Just at some point when they made those models, like hands existed, even in the 90s. Hands existed. They're a thing that people could look at.
Mhm.
Like you could literally just hold your hand up and then hold the model up and go, there's a proportion issue here. My hand is not 5 times the size of my head. Maybe we should revisit.
They are quite old sculpts, and sculpting has got better, and the technology that they can make molds with has got better over time as well. So I'm not going to lambast them for that.
No, but it might be a bold call on my part, but I think hands existed long before sculpting existed. In fact, I would argue that hands are essential for sculpting.
So, what do you think of this art on the journal?
I like. It looks suitably arrogant, doesn't it?
I don't like it. It doesn't look very Warhammer fantasy to me. It just looks like you're not wrong for liking it, but it just doesn't scream fantasy to me. It kind of just feels a bit flat.
I mean, it's definitely more modern, isn't it? It's got less. It's less gritty.
Yeah.
But then there's a bit of me that kind of it's like they haven't got any other units in there. So sometimes they have battle scenes where killing the dwarf or killing something like that. I think it feels very high elf just to be focusing on them and one guy with his chest puffed out. Like, look at me, look how important I am. No other races even get a look in because that's how amazing we are. So it feels very high elf. Feels very clean. Very kind of regimented, flat. Some might say.
Yeah.
But I like it. I don't know. I like it. It feels high elf to me.
Up here, the Griffin.
Oh yeah,
that's a 1-to-1 of the Island of Blood Griffin that came in the starter box.
Mm-hmm.
That hasn't been announced as coming back. God, I hope it does. Like, that's such a great model.
Yes.
So I'd love to see that noble on Griffin come back. But yeah, that's that. Obviously, there's transfers as well. You get some transfers in the big box, which I didn't realize, but that's cool. These immediately sell out, so if you want them, make sure you pre-order them at the second that pre-orders go live. And here's the first actual new model, Lord of Trace. It's an elf with a big axe.
Normal size hands, but a big lion. Well, actually quite a small lion on his back by the looks of it. So he just slaughtered a baby one.
Yeah. Although maybe it's just a really big elf.
Could be a really big elf. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Or maybe they're taking artistic
100 by 100 base.
Artistic liberties to make sure that the model looks like it fits within scale.
Yes,
which is reasonable. It's cool. I like it. I don't think I love the red and white color scheme. I think that's put me off a little bit. I think I'd like to see this in the classic blue.
In the blue, yeah. But it's interesting. I quite like it. I think the difference is interesting because I imagine they've painted him in this color because when we get to the Arcane Journal, do definitely get Custodian's vibes. Matthew, I was trying to place it for a moment there, but the gold head really does give that off. I wonder if they've got a whole set of army photos where they've changed the complete color scheme for a whole army's worth, and then when they get it in the book, they'll get the army photos in there. That would be interesting to see.
Yeah, I could see it. But yeah, no, I think it's interesting. I'm really hoping that they have some cool rules, because if you scroll down, it says here, Paragon of Realm. It is the Lord of Trace. Here we go. Elf Lord with Tracian honors or a Tracian chieftain exclusive to the Warhost, which to me means that maybe there are some rules that will buff the unit to make them more usable. That would be cool. I'd like.
They're your favourite great weapon armed unit at the moment, aren't they?
Well, I do like them, and I know you're referencing the in joke that I love white lions because Anyway,
You love great
we're,
weapons.
yeah, well, we're going off track, but they are good, great weapons. But I really like Swordmasters, which is cheating because they're at initiative great weapons.
Yeah.
At initiative 6/initiative 7 on the first round of combat great weapons,
Yeah.
which means they almost always get to strike. Even if your opponent's in initiative 4 and charges the full 3 inches, you're still getting to hit, which I do appreciate for them.
Is it an initiative buff that they need then? Is that the key to making White Lions viable?
No, I don't know what they need. I'm interested to see what they bring before I start speculating wildly, because surely we'll get them sooner rather than later. It feels like we're going to start I wouldn't be surprised if we get all 3 arcane journals in the next 6 months. That would be sort of what I'd expect to see. Maybe we see High Elves at the end of February or something like that. That'd be cool. But there's also Ishana Vess, Sentinel of the Silent Isle. Very dynamic model. I was a big fan of this one. Yeah, this is nice. I really like this. Rerollable regen, that would do it. But only against non-flaming attacks. Ah, curses.
It's always.
Yeah.
I like the eye patch.
I like this model. This is very, very dynamic. I can't remember who said it. Someone said that we're going to be fighting with Blood Bowl players to get hold of this stock, which I thought was funny.
Yeah, you could take the stick away and put something else in.
Or just put an American football on the end of the stick, like skew it through.
That's definitely allowed. Bribe the refs.
It probably is, honestly. Blood Bowl is a lawless place as far as I can tell. Then we've got the Illyrian Reavers, and these are also Island of Blood, but they are resculpted, apparently.
Oh, I was going to say, are they new horses? Are they new horses?
I think they're basically the same. I think what they've done is they've taken them from the base models, added command, and just made them so that they're not... because I think they were mixed in with the Skaven sprues in the Island of Blood set. So I think that's why they were resculpted instead of just like a one-to-one redo. I don't know if they've changed anything else about them other than like adding command. But no,
they look a little bit less derpy horses, but these are models that I'd 15 years ago the last time I saw them, so I have a picture in my mind that probably is not accurate.
I think the Illyrian Reavers were like, because that Island of Blood models were really well done. That was some of the later stuff that was released for fantasy, so it's hard to argue with the quality of them, I would say.
Definitely, really cool.
And Existence says all push fit. Yeah, they might not be push fit, despite being push fit in Island of Blood. So it's
interesting as well. The High Elves appear to have forgotten the ability to use their cavalry and lances as well. Seems to be a consistent theme.
Oops. I apparently searched 8. There we go. We're back. And then there's a load of returning.
Oh yeah, baby! This is the one.
I love this dragon. Yeah. I like the Dark Elf dragon. I love this dragon. This dragon's very cool. And hopefully comes back at a similar sort of price point as the one, the Dreadlord on dragon that you can buy already.
Yeah.
Good kit. I do find this interesting. They don't mention the Sun Dragon. I don't think the Sun Dragon is a separate kit, so I don't know why they've specifically gone, here's how you build 2 of the dragons.
Huh. Yeah, that is weird.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that one. But yeah, no, great kit. Love it.
Different heads, didn't they? Have the different heads? Oh, like I say,
there was a White Dwarf article where it gave you the breakdown on the different pieces that were meant to represent different things. I remember when it came out initially, I don't know, 18 years ago or whatever it was. Good stuff.
I remember that White Dwarf, actually, because I remember looking at that going, oh, that is so cool.
So cool. Yeah. Do you remember complete sidetrack? Do you remember when they used to take pictures of all of the, like, not for everything, but the one I'm thinking of is the Dark Angel upgrade sprue, and everything was individually painted, and they just were like, here's the upgrade kit, everything's painted, have at it. It's just like a page in White Dwarf is all of these pieces that you can customize your models with. I'd love to see that sort of stuff again, but I don't know if that's... When you buy it, you have to promise not to paint it red like a sun dragon. You can't tell me what to do. You're not my dragon tamer. We've got the phoenixes as well. I'd forgotten. So when I think phoenixes, I think these. And I think these models look a little bit derpy, honestly. I'm not a huge fan. I think it's because they're just fully T-posing. I'm like... Give me a little bit of bend in the wings or something, just some level of dynamism.
It's fully in glide mode, mate. That's it. They're coming down low. They're ready.
But then I forgot you get the Anointed of Asuryan, the mounted character on top of it, and I really like that. So if I wanted to, I'd be like if I wanted to do 2 dragons, I'd be tempted to pick up one of this just for like the bits to convert the 2 between.
Yeah, to
Which
get
is
a very different rider for your second dragon. Yeah, that's really cool.
yeah. I of course not everyone's going to be using them, so it's probably something I could pick up on eBay. So maybe something to do there. Oh, these are my favorite. I love these kits. I was in Warhammer World earlier, returning a Wyvern, and I
You made
was
a
looking.
foolish purchasing decision.
Yeah, I did last week, and I was looking, and I was thinking about picking up the Empire kit. That's one of these, the foot model and the mounted. And I was looking. I was like, I realised that Chaos doesn't have one. Do all of the other factions have one? Orcs and Goblins have one. Oh, I don't think Tomb Kings have one. No, Tomb Kings don't want to have one. Orcs and Goblins do. Empire do.
Yeah.
Dwarves do. Theirs is new. They didn't have one back in the day. Who is the other faction? Warriors of Chaos don't. Tomb Kings don't. I think that's the 5 that we've got. Yeah, so 3 out of the 5 have them.
Is that a sculpted banner? Is that sculpted?
Yeah. This is a really nice kit. This is good. It's a good piece of kit. So I'll definitely be picking one of these up. And they're usually about like somewhere between 18 and 25 quid, which for 2 character models is honestly pretty good. I don't hate that at all. And it's multi-part plastic. It's a lot of customization. I'm a huge fan of these.
Definitely. I wonder as well if that might be on that horse. That might be one of the awards for the most pointless tactical rock. It's not really even interacting with the tactical rock in the way that some of the infantry characters are climbing it or standing on it. It's literally just got 1 foot on it.
Adding a bit of height.
You could literally just get rid of that and it would make no difference to the model whatsoever.
Well, that's a good thing. If you have sculpted bases or like resin bases, you can just cut it off at the hoof and put it on your model and no one will ever know.
Yeah, you're not forced to make your tactical chapel fit on your cobblestone bases.
Bretonnian got a resin one. Thank you, Jackie. Yes, I forgot there was another army in there I was missing. Elves have it as well. I'd forgotten about this kit, so Elves get the dual kit as well, which is very nice. I'm a big fan of this kit as well. I don't remember this one to anywhere near the same level of detail, so I'm curious to see what are all the parts in there.
So we have the award in the previous one for the most pointless tactical rock, and this one is the award for the most precarious tactical rock. Look at that!
But it's magic, so it's okay.
It's magic tactical rock, is it?
Yeah, and then here's a high elf wizard that I didn't remember, and it's like a lore master.
Wow, I don't know that existed.
Either lore master or like whatever. It's like sword master at Heoth, mage, something along those lines. So obviously, if you want to give it the upgrade there,
that sword looks familiar. What is that sword?
Sword of Heoth. It's what the sword masters use. Yeah. Right. It's a 10-point upgrade that you can buy. It's one of the honors, I think they're called, and you get to take a free Sword of Heoth, which is strength +2, AP -2, cleaving blow, I think. So just a good weapon that you can, if you wanted to go, so you can go illusion casters, I believe, for high elves. So if you wanted to do that, you could, but you can't. You've got to be on foot. I think you can't even be. Maybe you can be on foot or on a horse, but I think it might just be foot. Anyway, by the by, nice model. Really like that. The globe effect's pretty cool. A good opportunity for a bit of OSL if you enjoy doing that sort of thing.
Yeah. Nis has come up with the best signature spell that's going to be in the Arcane Journal.
Oh yeah,
signature spell, Floaty Rocks.
Signature spell,
it has no
rocks.
effect other than to make you look really wobbly.
yeah, that's fair. Cool. So we've also got the Dragon Princess here. I think this is a bad angle because they look really stunty horses. I'm not vibing with it, but I've seen them in person and they're much nicer in person. Yes. So I think this is just a classic bit of Games Workshop photo taking where you look at them and you go, hold on, I don't love this, but actually they're solid. 10 in a kit as is standard, but 10 is probably more than you'll need unless you want to go for 2 units of them. But we've got the Silver Helms, and Silver Helms comes a box of 12, and I do like that. I'm a big fan of running 6 cavalry, so that's the.
Why 6?
Just 5 feels too low. I don't love using, like, if I'm running heavy cav, I quite like having 6 or 7.
Mm-hmm.
5 feels like you take 1 or 2 casualties and you're not completely out of the game.
Yeah.
Whereas if you have just 1 extra model, gives you a little bit of wiggle room there.
Mm.
These kits are also one of the older ones, but I don't hate them. They're a little bit campy, but not awful. They're okay. And then we've obviously got the Lothan Sea Guard we've already looked at.
Nice.
The Phoenix Guard as well. Interestingly, you only get 20 in a box. Instead of like some weird multiple of 6 or 4, sorry, I should say, the way that, things used to be. But yeah, I like these models. I really like Phoenix Guard. I'm looking forward to a world where infantry are good again, because I want to play some combat res bricks.
100%. It feels like it's a really extensive range they've brought back as well. Like there was just unit after unit after unit after unit.
Oh yeah,
I'm tempted, Ed. I'm not going to lie.
I'm pretty sure we haven't seen everything as well, because the Merworm that they very heavily hinted at in the same article as they very heavily hinted at the War Wagon, and we've got the War Wagon, and we haven't got the Merworm yet. I think, like the War Wagon, it's going to come in a second wave, because we haven't had the War Wagon released yet. It was a new kit originally sold in 10s. Perfect. That makes sense. Yeah. Cool. What else we got? We got those lovely sword masters that I really like, and I'm hoping that infantry get to a point where playing these guys is worth doing. You can make them work with an ethereal level 4, like a high magic level 4, and you take the item that gives them a 4 up ward save against magic missiles, and that's pretty okay. But it just feels like it's not the most efficient thing to do when you could just be dragoning.
Well, that was the thing. I tried. Maybe we'll come on to it if we've got time. I did a infantry versus infantry list game the other day where we both agreed we weren't going to take loads of monsters. I wasn't going to take any dragons, and we are just going to try and max out as much infantry as possible. Had such a good game. It works so well. If both of you are on that level where you're both agreeing lots of infantry, the game plays so well. It's such good fun when you don't just have units getting wiped by dragons. So
I've been teaching my mate Craig how to play Old World, and we've just been playing. So I donated my old 3D printed high elves to him, because I printed them at the start of the edition, decided I didn't want them. He's keen on high elves, so I was like, oh, just get started with this. But we've been playing games where it's like, I've brought some Chaos Warriors, and he's got some Lothan Sea Guard, and he's got a Noble on Griffin, and I've got an Aspiring Champion on Chariot, and you go sort of one for one. But we've got we've been playing 1 unit of cavalry, 1 interesting character, some infantry, and then something special as well. And that's just it feels good. You couldn't take it to a tournament and expect to do well, but it's nice to play that sort of level of game.
Definitely.
I'd probably get bored myself if I wasn't teaching someone, but in the context, it's good.
These white really cool as well.
Yeah. These white lions look a bit lanky for me. I feel like the scale's wrong, and the way they hold their axes is a little clunky, but maybe it's just the paint scheme.
It could be paint scheme or photo again, couldn't it? They just look too wide, don't they? I don't quite understand. It feels like their stance is really wide, but I
think it's something to do with the color of the axe shaft. It just doesn't vibe with me. Having it lighter than everything else kind of feels weird. I'd like to see some darker axes, just to add a bit more contrast to them. But that's them. Obviously, we looked at these two here, spearmen with the big hands and archers with the big hands. Winslow did point out some of this stuff Existence pointed out some of this stuff is second wave. That's true. Obviously there's loads of stuff here, so having it split across 2 waves makes sense, but the second wave typically comes within like a month or so anyway, so it's not
you can get it quite quickly after, aren't you?
Yeah, we got the Sky Cutter coming back. How do you feel about this model?
I mean, the idea of an eagle pulling a chariot, that's quite fun. I have questions about the viability of that in combat, but
I think what you just mean like sort of like how it should work.
That work?
Yes. How do we end up in a tied combat where we just both stay still, or like how do I give ground?
What process got the elves to a point where that was what problem is that solving for the elves in their combat scenario? When did they look at that and go, do you know what?
It's a flying
needs to pull a chariot.
A flying platform that can do some shooting. You can put like a heavy not crossbow. You can put a what's it called? The big
crossbow thing.
Yeah, I guess it's not a crossbow. Bolt thrower. There we go. You can put like a semi bolt thrower on the front that doesn't pierce through. I think it's just like a single shot. But yeah, I'd hate to be that eagle. That's funny.
Yeah, I'd hate to be the people that were driving the bloody thing, because if that eagle gets shot, they're just going to crash out. They're just going to slowly just watch themselves crash to the ground with nothing they can do about it.
I don't think it'd be particularly slowly, because let me introduce you to my friend Gravity. They would accelerate, and there's a formula for that. But yeah, no, I wasn't keen on this the first time I saw it, and it's definitely grown on me over the years. So I'm pretty okay with this. A flying chariot pulled by a bird is a perfect artillery platform, says Entropy. That's a good point.
What's
Very stable.
keeping the chariot in the air?
Speed.
So that eagle just has to be going flat out continually, because the minute the eagle slows down, stops, tries to change direction, that chariot is going to flip over. It's just going to like.
No, this is pod racing.
No, this is indeed pod racing.
Yeah. Let's move on from that. We've also
How
got
does it take off?
Nope, we're not going to think about the logistics anymore. We've got the bolt throwers. These are nice models. They're very, very expensive points-wise, and I don't think worth taking.
None of that sooty black stuff that comes out of the dwarf equivalents as well, so I don't have to worry about cleaning up afterwards.
And then the chariots. I really like these chariots.
Sorry, maybe they cast floaty rocks on it.
I would do it. I would do it. There's a great series of books that are aimed towards young adults. And the artist doing the illustration is like Chris, someone who I think does political cartoons for The Guardian now.
Yeah.
But it's about sky pirates, and it's set in like a fantastical setting, and there's boats constructed with cages around the center, and there's a lighter than air buoyant rock that holds the buoyancy for these ships. And at the time of the setting, there's like a stone sickness or something, and all the ships are starting to crash out the sky. But yeah, that would be, for some reason, that makes more sense to me than having an eagle pulling the
anti-gravity rocks. That's what we want.
Yeah, no, they're not anti-gravity. They're just lighter than air for whatever reason. I don't remember the justification. It must be like 15 years since I wrote those. But The Edge Chronicles. There we go. Corey, well done, you. I'm gonna put that. I wouldn't mind rereading them. It's not going to be hard reading, but they were good. If you are interested in that sort of fantasy, check out the Edge Chronicles just for the illustration alone. Like the world building is fantastic. It's very, very vivid, and the art done by Chris Riddle. There we go, Chris Riddle. In fact, let me just see if I can. So if I click on this. Here we go.
Oh, look at that. That is cool. It's like Noah's Ark with cowbell on the bottom of it.
Yeah. It's this sort of art. Anyway. Back to Warhammer, because I'm sure you're not here to listen to us talk about
new hobbies, Ed.
The Edge Chronicles. What, reading? We all know you're illiterate. And then we've got some classic metal kits returning.
But they're still going. Jesus Christ, how many high elves are there?
And I genuinely think there's more than this coming. I'm very confident we're getting the Merworms. We've got the Handmaid of the Ever Queen, which is a great sculpt. I don't think I've ever seen this before, but this is a really nice model.
Is it new?
No, it's returning, as you can see by the big stamp that says returning metal.
Oh yeah, that'll give it away.
Given that I just pointed out you're illiterate, I can't give you too much shit, but come on, man.
I should know the symbols by now.
And then we've got Corhill, who we've known is coming back for months because someone was selling it on Vinted, I think it was. Someone who works in the factories definitely knocked off just a whole pallet of stock and sold it. So yeah, those two, I really like those two models, and I think that's it. That's about it for the High Elves. So how do you feel overall about High Elves? They swaying your mind?
They're tickling the pickle, I won't lie. So yeah. Oh god, just so much. What do I do? It's so exciting. It's all so good.
Yeah. Well, playstyle wise, I'm imagining that Cathay are going to be somewhere between elves and humans.
Yes,
which
they have gunpowder.
Interests me.
They don't like using it as much.
And they've got magic as well. I really want to see the crane gunners. I think those
are the ones with the big shields.
Yeah.
100%. I mean, I love the Jade Warriors as well. Their armor's amazing. Like, we just don't have the representation from that kind of ancient Asian culture anywhere in the old world, do we? And I know a lot of the fantasy factions are based off different historical parts of the real world. So I think it's been a glaring piece of old lore in terms of the real world that's just missing from the setting completely. So I'm just really looking forward to what they can do with that and how they can make it work. And I'm just a whole different set of aesthetics that we've never had.
Yeah. Wasn't there, and I somehow missed this, but someone was posting snippets of it in one of the group chats I'm in. Wasn't there a post of a map as well that had like the names of Tillian cities in, or Estonia, or something
Yeah,
like that.
Estalia and Tilia are so when they've updated the maps, they say that obviously we discussed the fact that they put the Cathay and junk ship on the ocean, which is really cool. But yeah, they also added the Estalian and Tilian city names on one section, I think on the coastline somewhere, and they are, I think, are they Spanish conquistador? Is that their kind of vibe?
Very cool.
I think
I'd love to see them use this as an opportunity to bring back the Vampire Coast. I know that's Lustria, but I want vampirates.
Yep.
If they're not bringing back, vampire counts, bring back vampirates.
Hell yes. Yeah, if that's what they've got to do to differentiate themselves from OS, then I'm all for that. I liked the big fat floaty ghost in
another series I enjoyed reading, Vampirates. I think it was literally called Vampirates, which is
they could have workshopped that a bit, really, couldn't they?
I don't know. I'm looking at these book covers and I'm now going, maybe it wasn't Vampirates.
The Vampire Coast might be a graveyard for those Idoneth Deepkin models to come back. Just make them a bit more like dusty, and make the big turtle not floating anymore. Maybe someone will buy it.
Yeah, maybe. Pip spamming the frog face. I unfortunately, I think out of all the factions to come back, Lizardman is quite low down the priority list.
Here we go. Yeah, I knew there was Spain involved somewhere. Estalia is Spain and Tilia is Italy. Interesting.
That makes sense. More human factions. I'm okay with having if we've got 4 human factions, the ability to kit bash becomes pretty nuts.
Yes, that would be, they need to differentiate the rules. That's going to be the key. Is that you don't want Estalia just to be Empire, but with a Spanish flourish. Like they've got to have a distinct thing that they do that you can't already get from Empire, you can't really get from Bretonnia. So I think it's just important that they shouldn't just rush some of these back just because people are asking for them. They need to be there for a reason. They need to do something that the others don't do.
Sure.
So yeah.
Pip says you can't have vampires without lizard gold for them to steal. What if you could though? What if they were raiding the shores of the old world as opposed to the shores of the older world where lizardmen are?
Yep.
I could see that, but I'd love to see all of the factions come back. Obviously, that is the official party line, but it's just whether or not I think that some of them are more likely. Isn't that why there's speculation it'll be Dogs of War? That'd be cool. I have heard whispers of Dogs of War.
We shall see.
End of sentence.
I have not been this excited for a game in a long time. Like I've obviously played a lot of 40k over the last few years and have very much enjoyed it, but I haven't had this like buzz, this excitement that I've had for Old World.
We enjoyed 40k from a competitive rule set, right? As opposed to the setting. Like the setting's fine. I enjoy the setting, but it doesn't grab me in the way that Warhammer Fantasy really grabs me.
Yeah.
Do you want to go back to your screen?
Shall we?
We can do.
All I've got is some photos from a cool game I played the other day.
Yeah, we can probably wrap up on that and then do some viewer questionnaires.
We've been rambling.
Yeah, God, you never shut up, do you?
Oh God, I'm just so excited, Ed.
that is fair. Honestly, it is exciting times. We live in interesting times. We'll say.
Indeed. Don't listen to the Facebook haters, team. Just go and play the game and enjoy yourself. It's amazing. This is what an infantry game looks like, and some cavalry. Yeah. Look at that! Look how cool that is. 3 big blocks of vampire count infantry, 2 blocks of skeletons, and a big block of graveguard. Then 2 big blocks of men at arms, and then loads of knights of the realm. How cool is that?
That's very cool. Sorry, I just saw this comment. Yeah. How will we deal? I mean, I'm not a huge fan of big hands, but I might end up putting them together for you, Steve. So I'm just gonna have to fucking deal with it, aren't I? Yeah, Warhammer Fantasy just hits different. But yeah, keep talking about your infantry.
Yeah. So as I say, we decided we were going to do a game that didn't involve loads of Pegasus Knights, didn't involve loads of dragons, anything like that. It was like, how does fantasy play if you just put infantry on the board and mash it together? Is it a fun experience? Do you need the dragons to try and make it more of an engaging game? And it turns out you don't. I think it's absolutely viable as an infantry only game, and really, really good fun. There's some just amazing stuff that happens when you mash infantry together. There's a fine example of me using my spiritual vortex to great effect to slow my own units down and cause them to die of their own difficult terrain.
You're so good at this game.
Tactical masterclass from my perspective. And yeah, it was really cool. Loads of backwards and forwards. So we had some really like ongoing combats where the Knights of the Realm charge in and they hit the skeletons and they wipe out like 15, 20 of them. But then there's obviously 5 or 10 left, and the vampires just resin them back, and they've lost their charge bonus at that point. So the skeletons start pushing them back, and backwards and forwards, which was really cool. Units moving backwards and punching into each other, which was really, really good to see. Had a chance to play one of the missions from the Saffron Fantasy Slams. We played the one where you can see the token in the middle of the board there, which was Geoffrey de Mandeville, the first Earl of Essex. We had him bouncing around the battlefield. We played your modification, Ed, where we just did the movement at the start of each battle round rather than each player turn, and we felt actually he didn't move enough. So I think we will flip it to each player turn, but we'll reduce the distance slightly. So I think instead of D3+3, we might do D3+1 or D3+2, somewhere like that, because it was cool when he moved, and it did push. For me, anyway, I was trying to hold on to him, so it did push me around on the board. Ed, my opponent, had a different approach, and that he wasn't going to worry about it until the end of the game.
He's got the movement to do that with all those knights.
Well, exactly, that's the thing. I have to get the skeletons roughly into position, or they're just not going to be there. And I did lose the game, unfortunately, mostly because it turns out vampire counts on foot, load of rubbish, because they still cost 350 points if you upgrade them, and they just die immediately to anything that hits them. And you'll see that one of the lances at the top, the kind of second one up, has that Baron at the front of it with the stupid sword that gets extra D3 attacks and does 2 damage a hit or D3 damage a hit, and it just rips it apart, because he just got heavy armor, he's got a 5-up save, talisman protection, and a regen, but he's only got 3 wounds. And so he just dies immediately. So I lose best part of 400 points of my army in one go, which is just not going to work. So for an infantry list to work, I think for the vampires, you just can't have a vampire on foot. I think he's got to come out and get another level 4 necromancer.
Or and maybe instead of accepting the challenge with the vampire lord, you accept the challenge with the infantry character.
Well, there was no challenge because he's at the front of the lance. He can, when he positioned the charge so that Baron is in base contact with my vampire, so he can direct his attacks into the vampire. So it doesn't have to be a challenge.
Yeah, but you could declare one. I guess he's got a unit champion as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he would just accept it with the unit. I guess if the vampire lord declares, well, the thing is, the vampire lord declares a challenge, he accepts it with the Baron, and he dies anyway.
It basically boils down to if you can get your opponent to declare the challenge. We're like, oh, you challenging me then, are you? Having some combat, and then you go, cool, my skeleton champion accepts.
Yes. So yeah, he's coming out and he's putting another necromancer in. So I've got level 4. I'm going to make necromancer fly around because I think he's better if he can on a flying carpet, because it means he can keep up the blood knights. Because I was finding in this photo here, you can see the mortis engine. The mortis engine absolutely more than sufficient to keep 2 big blocks of infantry at least pretty healthy, especially one Graveguard doesn't die very easy. But the blood knights, they just kind of got trapped by the hippogriff. And the unit of Knights of the Realm, and they just struggled to do anything. They just couldn't get out of really into it. They didn't die, but they just got stuck in combat, and he just chewed you through 1 or 2 a turn. So I need to be able to res them, or be able to not get them trapped as much, and potentially another necromancer is going to help me with that, because I can get some of the leadership debuffs and things off that I need. So, but fundamentally, it was really good. I very much enjoyed it. I hate Pillar of Fire. This is an example. This is a great example of why you don't put all of your models together.
I was just looking at the line that you'd left. Yeah.
And I knew he had it. I just forget how it works. So what you probably can't see, just in front of the mortis engine, is my Banshee. And Banshees don't like Pillars of Fire because I only have 2 wounds.
That is very poorly positioned.
Yes. So we've learned a thing. So yeah, but also if you put the Banshee further away, it can get targeted by other spells and things like magic missiles and stuff like that. So it was a tricky balance, but yeah, it was very good. I very much enjoyed it. Mission was really good. It worked well. Enjoy the diagonal deployment, so I'm keeping those in. And Matthew Sinclair in the chat makes a good point. I think he was at Bad Moon Cafe's event that Sid ran last weekend, which is the one that Pip won with his Lizardmen. I was able to have a good chat with Sid about the missions he'd used at Bad Moon Cafe.
Yeah.
He did this fun mission at the end where there's a big hill in the middle and you put the wizard on it and the wizard gets a massive casting bonus. But I think there's a dispel. If they die on it, they explode or something like that. So there's a big downside.
Yeah.
So I'm going to steal Sid's his FAQs on cannons versus hills and woods. I think I'm going to steal that. He's given me permission to lift that straight from his event pack and put it into mine because it's a much better way of writing it than GW have written it, which is basically instead of the cannon stopping immediately when it hits a hill, it stops when it hits the end of the hill.
Mm-hmm.
So basically you can't fire it through a hill. So if you're on the hill, you can be hit absolutely fine. But literally, if the cannonball gets to the end of the hill, i.e. the other side of the hill, it just stops immediately at the boundary.
So you think that a cannonball can bounce uphill?
Well, I mean, I'm not that bothered about roughly if it's shooting at things on a hill, that's fine. I'm kind of on board with that. What I don't like is it's shooting past hills and past woods. So basically, it allows you to still use the cannon to target other cannons, which seems to be one of the big issues with the FAQ. Is that the way it's written, the cannonball just stops before it immediately touches the hill.
So the way that it's written is the initial, like how far it travels, that can land on the hill, but it's just it can't then bounce uphill. That's how it works in the Games Workshop FAQ. It took me a couple of reads to get through that. We can talk about that after stream. It's not super important to do.
I'll show you the diagrams he's got. I haven't got them on screen now, but he came up with some really cool diagrams of what happens about where units are placed in relation to hills, about whether they can be hit by cannons and stuff like that. And it just very clearly explained it in a way that Games Workshop haven't seemed to have quite managed to say. And same with the woods as well. I feel like you shouldn't be able to shoot cannons through woods, so I'm probably going to adopt that. And he had a much better victory point table than I had as well in mine. So I'm going to steal that as well. So that was good.
Lovely stuff. All right. Well, we're going to go and read some user member questions. That's what I was going to say. But before I do, there's about 77 of you, and only half of you have thumbed up the video. So I'm once again asking for your thumb assistance because it does make a big difference in terms of the amount of people that see these, and it really does help. So we've got first question here from Matthew Sinclair. If North America is Nagroth, are Alith, Anar, and the Shadows Canadians? That's interesting because to me, Scotland would be the Dark Elves, and High Elves would definitely be like the South. They've got the haughty.
You're saying we're arrogant, Ed?
Yes. Definitely am saying you're arrogant. And then I guess Wood Elves would be kind of like the Peak District, maybe the Lake District as well. That sort of I don't know. That's
some stereotypes going on here, Ed.
It's not particularly wild, is it? Maybe Scotland's Wood Elves. You know. But Ireland I could see as being the Wood Elves.
There would definitely be the Wood Elves, yeah. 100%.
Yeah, there we go. This makes sense, yeah. And we've just got massive uninhabited swathes of land, which is what politicians think about the Northeast. Anyway, so I don't really have comments about where is where is where for America. It's kind of harder to tie that one to me. A lot of Scots went to Canada. That makes sense. It's both places are cold. And in the shadow of the larger country below them, and possibly nicer people for both. So,
Stop digging, quick, move on.
I was saying nice things about Canada and Scotland there. I don't know if it came across, but I was shitting on us and America, so that was okay. And then there was discussion about that. And then the only other question wasn't a question, which was reminding me to put podcasts on Apple. And then Callum saying,
please.
Am I allowed to put them on Apple and Spotify because I haven't platformed a fraud doctor yet? And that's very fair. That is normally how it goes. If you want to make big money, just tell lies. Just, willfully spread misinformation on the internet. It's the best way to go. So I'm yet to enter my grifter arc. I need to have a look into the financial aspect of it. See how
much money you can make out of free stuff that's definitely not real. But to everyone watching, I do make regular petitions to our Lord and Master Ed to get the bloody
Oh
podcast on the
no!
podcast
You
app.
make irregular. I think you've done it twice, and you are correct. You are 100% correct. I should put it on Apple Music. I just keep forgetting. The problem is I was using Podbean, which automatically disseminates them through, but it costs money and it's not very good. When I transitioned from doing the podcast from a pre-recorded to a live, it broke Podbean, and then I had to manually fix it anyway. So I was like, why am I paying for this?
Yeah.
So now I manually put them on Spotify, which means I'd have to manually put them on Apple Music as well. I don't think there's a free platform that I can do that with. If there is, let me know, because that would make my life easier. But yeah, it's just a bit of a faff. What else have we got? Is there a release date for High Elves? No, but I'm assuming it's sort of like end of February. I don't know, but I think end of February sort of rings about true. H4BOS says, how can someone join a tournament?
You can go to lwminiatures.com, and there you will find a list of all of my tournaments this year. If you are based in England, and you'd be more than welcome at all of them. But yeah, I'm assuming you're mentioning a potentially an online situation, but all of my events are in person.
Yeah.
But the online ones, I think so. You've got the Esport one, which is the big one that the Square-based people do. You have to be a member of their Patreon or their Discord, and then you get onto their Discord and you add it on there, and then you play on Warhol, I think it is, isn't it? They use the online sort of tabletop simulator style thing.
Warhol's very good.
In person is much more fun though. H4BOS. I would encourage it heartily because we're a lovely bunch, and everything you read on Facebook about tournaments is just not true. So ignore it.
I don't know that I would read this as someone looking to play online tournaments. I think it was just more of a general question. So I think the answer you're looking for is Discord communities and Facebook groups are the places that you can find where people are running events.
Yeah.
If you search like Old World events or Old World, have a look for Facebook groups. Usually they're private. They'll ask you a question that's related to the Old World just to make sure that they're not getting flooded with spam accounts. Yeah. You'll be approved pretty quickly. Look in the events tab or just have a scroll down and see if people have mentioned them. You can use the search bar to check what people are saying in there, and hopefully you'll be able to find something that's easily travelable or in your area. And that is how to get.
You can also use oldworldrankings.com.
That's true.
So that's the kind of burgeoning international ranking system for Old World events.
Yeah.
They have that website. You might want to get it up on a screen share, Ed, if we've got the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
They've scraped. They scrape Best Coast Pairings, which for you, H4BOS is one of the apps that a lot of tournament organisers use to deliver events. Does all the pairings and puts all the lists and things like that. And they have scraped all that data, so you've got like a calendar of events that you can join from there. And you just pick the one that's closest to you, which hopefully is in Essex, somewhere near Saffron Walden, and you'll quite happily find yourself some events to join there. And Ed has done a very good video on how to sign up for events, what to do, how to prepare for your first ever tournament, which I'd heartily recommend, with the slight caveat that you should also read the event pack that the tournament organizer puts out, because he, I'm assuming, deliberately misplaced that from the video.
No, it's not deliberate. I just don't do it myself, which is really funny because I played. I'm in the Old World League, which is an online tournament, but it's I think mostly Americans who are playing it, so I signed up immediately. Basically Mike, who has posted in the Discord, seems really nice from what I've seen from him, posted, and I immediately had FOMO because he was like, it's the last day to sign up, don't forget to if you want to. And it's a paid tournament as well, $20 dues, which is not too bad. So I was like, oh, fuck, it's the last day. Do I want to play? Oh, I've got loads more time. I should do it. Immediate regret. Because I played my first game last night at 11:30. I ended at like 2:30, 3 in the morning. So I'm like, why the fuck am I doing this? So I'm not sure if I'll end up playing all 5 rounds, which is a little bit of a shame. But I'm not sure what the point of that was. Anyway, if you go to oldworldrankings.com, no spaces, no hyphens, no nothing, you can see here there is a little drop down. You can look at all of the different factions. Also,
I'm not sure your screen share is up, Ed.
Oh, yes, sorry. I've
the world cannot see what you're rambling about.
There we go. Yeah. So in the top here, there is a drop-down box, and also you can just go to the home page, which is... honestly, it's been a little while since I've gone back to the main page. So if I just... there we go.
TV's panicking.
Never panicking. You can see here on the dashboard, there's various different regions that are playing. So going to UK, that's the one that I'm using. Obviously, you've got a nice little update here where you can see people doing well recently. Have a look at their lists as well, which is just very cool. You can become a member for free, so don't worry about the fact that it says it's members only. It's just to try and incentivize people to log in and create accounts. I would log in now, but I don't want you to see all my details. Top regional players, you can see who's doing the best in the region, which is very nice. Faction, win rates, and all that good stuff. But the thing you want to look at is on the right-hand side, which is under our faces, upcoming tournaments. Click on that one, and you can see all of the tournaments. And I think you can filter by... Yeah, you can filter by countries within the UK. Interesting,
nice.
No Ireland on there. I wonder if it filters to Ireland, but there's no Irish events on BCP currently. Maybe that's the case.
Yeah, it could be, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, we've got a whole load of events.
There it is.
Yes, here's the Saffron Fantasy Slam. I'll be at this one. If you want to come say hi, please do. If you're there, it's always nice to get to talk to people.
Yep, still got some tickets left. You'd be more than welcome.
Absolutely. And as I scroll down, here's another one that I'm at, the Grand Tournament. So looking forward to that one as well. And I need to put together an All Games Workshop list. Ginger Steve says, don't read the event pack. That's for tryhards and people who live with their mum. Yeah, there we go. That's my opinion. That's why I was talking about the tournament that I'm playing online. I didn't read the event pack for it. So we're sat there going, what are we doing? Where's the event? Where's the map packs? What are we doing? And also, like, I hadn't looked at the map packs before I launched, submitted my list, because I'm playing an all cavalry and chariot list. And there's a lot of maps that just have loads of terrain everywhere that make it very hard for me to move around. So, yeah, regret. But it's okay. It's okay. Perfect. I don't think we've got any other questions. We do not. Anything else that you want to wrap up there with?
No, I think that's good. It's been good to chat to you, Ed, actually. Been very much enjoyed it.
There we go. We've both given each other a compliment live on stream, and we can't take it back.
I've enjoyed interacting with the chat. You're just...
No, you can't take it back. It's been good talking to you. I've really enjoyed it. Those were the exact words you used. And on that note,
I meant you as in chat.